Greetings, my fellow vampires. Today I'm going to show you how to acquire the Soul Shard of the Winged Horror. The first, but in my humble opinion, the strongest shard out of 3 available in the game at the moment. To achieve that, we will need to kill the aforementioned Winged Horror, who lives on this tiny little mountain, reachable only with a bat form. Even though the Winged Horror is the easiest out of 3 endgame bosses, I would still highly recommend you to fight him only with full set of buffs: spell damage buff, physical damage buff, and fire resistance potion, because at least half of the damage of this boss is fire damage. As for the blood type, I'm using 97% Scholar, which gives me tons of spell damage and spell vamp, which is gonna be our main source of sustain against this boss. You can use high quality Scholar blood or Brute blood, which will give you some heal amp for Sanguine Coils, which is the must-use spell in almost any hard boss fight unless you're literally a god of this game and can dodge every hit possible. Also, Brute gives you 1 additional gear score level, which results in higher damage output and higher damage resistances against NPCs. In case you didn't know, this game uses level-based damage scaling system, which results in you dealing almost no damage to enemies that are 10 levels higher than you, and amplifies your damage against enemies that are lower level than you. As you can see, I'm using a scythe as my main weapon, even though it's not the most optimal strategy against this particular enemy. I'm pretty sure you can deal much more damage with a crossbow. Most of the attacks of this boss are easy to dodge. The only attack that deals large amounts of damage is his charge attack, which can be avoided either by using your movement spell or simply by walking between the enemy model and 2 Chaos Orbs that spawns at his sides, as you could see earlier. Sanguine Coils allow you to recover any HP lost during the fight if you don't get hit several times in a row. However, as you might have already noticed, if you get hit by his Chaos attacks, it will apply a 5-minute burn debuff that will slowly take your life away, which is the exact reason why we use the Fire Resistance Potion and the Chaos Surge spell that you can swap right during the fight to remove the debuff. Chaos Surge is the only spell, at least of my knowledge, that removes the debuffs from the player. The moment the boss flies high over the arena, you can no longer recover HP ticked away by his burning. That is why I use this time to remove the debuff by swapping spells and save some of the HP that I would lose otherwise. In case you feel that you don't have enough survivability against this boss, for example because you are using Brute blood instead of Scholar, or simply because you get hit too much, you can consider swapping your amulet with Javel of the Wicked Prophet that will give you additional 5% spell vamp and a bit of movement speed to dodge the attacks. You can also consider using any of the shield abilities instead of Chaos Volley to counter his orb attacks if you are having a hard time dodging the bullets. After the second stage of the boss kicks in, he will start throwing some ice abilities that also apply the 5-minute debuff that slows the player. Burn and ice debuffs overlay each other, which means that you can step into the fire to remove the ice debuff, or get hit by any of the boss's ice abilities to remove the burning if you ever consider that to be needed. If you're playing on a PvE server, every time you defeat this boss he will drop a soul shard of the Winged Horror, which is a legendary artifact that you can place inside your base. In case you're playing on the PvP server, only the first person to ever defeat this boss will acquire his soul shard. Soul Shard is presented as an inventory item that applies a debuff on a player that carries it. You cannot change form, use mounts or cave passages, you're moving 15% slower and get hit 25% harder. It means that on a PvP server, the Soul Shard carrier is an easy target for a gank, which should be considered in case you want to acquire one of these beauties. Any person on the server that has built an Eye of Twilight will be able to see your movement on the map and will know that you took the shard, which is why I would recommend you building a base near the shard boss or ask to help your friends in case you have any, unlike me. And now for the fun part. Let's drop this beauty and rub it a bit. To put the shard down, just place it on any active button in your inventory, press it and choose an appropriate place for it. This thing is quite big, so plan where you want to have it beforehand. As you can see, it gives you a 2-hour buff for 10 spell power, which is insane, and 5% crit chance for your spells, along with silver and fire resistances. That's it for the video, thank you for watching and wish you a good boss hunting.